you think that this week is kind of a big preparation week, but it's done. The preparation happens well before. This week really is all about, get on the mat, stay sharp, stay focused. But up to this point, everything that they've put into it is what leads into Saturday. This week is really just about still staying on the mat and keeping that focus rather than, we're not going to get much better than we are, by Friday, and we're not going to get in much better shape, through the course of a week. So it's more about just kind of getting yourself in that mindset and knowing that, your opportunities.
It's a lot of training and preparation coming down to one weekend and one day, for either all to pay off or not, so that's definitely, it freaks you out. There's a lot of stress, but I mean, the only thing you can do is just work hard and work through it. You're gonna do what you can.
I'm definitely nervous just because it's a important part just because it's the end of nearing the end of my season, and it's nerve-wracking because I have expectations for myself and the team has expectations for me to get my name on the wall and stuff and place first. So it's definitely stressful this week because I definitely I've spent so many hours in the sport. I definitely want to make a name for myself.
Gearing up for this week and just all the thoughts running through my head, and it's nerve-wracking. These kids put a lot of time into this season, and it all comes on the line this weekend, and see what happens after that. But it's tough. It's tough on these kids, and I remember, it was a difficult week for me. Especially when you have a lot of success in the season, you have a lot riding on this, and you have a lot of people watching you and expecting things from you. So these kids are going through a lot, and but they handle it real well.
My senior year, 2003, we had a good shot at making it happen, but we never quite put it together. And things have changed a lot in New Hampshire wrestling since then, with the 3 divisions, and teams go through their ups and downs, and these guys have really just embraced that idea of a tradition of winning and being successful, and they've just taken it to that whole nother level, and that goes for that's what kind of fuels that drive and that off-season work ethic and that in-season work ethic, and it just drives them through everything that they do. So when you put in that much time into something, you're going to get good at it, So, and these guys are a perfect example of that. So absolutely the talent level is steadily increased over the years, and it's just a tribute to what these guys are willing to do to be successful and be that guy.
I mean, my junior year, when I won divisions, that was the biggest thing. I couldn't imagine anything else. It was awesome. Put the cherry on top of my season. And then when I won it senior year, I realized there's a lot more than D2s, and it took a little bit away from it, but it just makes you realize, it makes you strive for more. Strive for states, strive for New England, and these kids look at that. They're getting ready. They don't just have one goal in mind. They have a bunch. So it's exciting.
At this point, I spend a lot of my time just thinking about how I want to win and just thinking about how aggressive I need to wrestle and how much confident I need to wrestle, because I'm not paying much attention in school. I'm just sitting around in school just thinking about what I need to do on Saturday to win.
Just wrestling is just, so hard mentally as well as physically. It's like I always try to have as much fun as possible, because I know it's not fun, and just in practice, I try to make as many jokes as I can and just try to enjoy what it is, and it's not an enjoyable thing, practice. The only the only good thing in wrestling is winning, and it's so hard to win. And it's a long season, and it really spreads you thin.
I definitely learned in the first 2 times I've wrestled in divisions that it's definitely a dogfight. Everyone's wrestling their heart out because some people, maybe it's their last opportunity to get a state title, kind of like me. So people wrestle hard. It's the state meet. You can't let just because it's a state meet, you can't let it mentally get to you, and you can't close up. We've had wrestlers in the past who haven't performed just because it's the state meet, and they get nervous and anxious and stuff.
I mean, there's always that hint of doubt, after last year. It's just it's a tough thing to recover from, after something like that. And so I think everybody, there's that, that voice in the back of the head there that it makes you worry, it stresses you out. But I mean, that can only help us, motivate us to push harder to win. And in the end, I think this year's definitely our year, and in my mind, there's only a hint of doubt that we will win it, and we better win. My hand was killing me, and I was just thinking, I can't not make it to the finals. I can't lose in the semis, and that was what's going through my head, and that's just kind of what drove me. And that's what ended up happening. I had to win. I couldn't lose in the semis.
Semis was tougher for me than the finals because there was a point there that I wasn't sure if he was going to even get through to that finals match. fortunately for him, he kind of sucked it up there in that last minute of the match and made it happen. When there was even a kind of notion that there was something wrong with his hand. I mean, there's no other kid that I could imagine wrestling through something like that. I mean, Wyatt's a very, very tough kid, on the football field, on the mat. There was never a doubt in my mind that he'd go out there and at least give it everything he had at that point, whether it was at 100% or, 75%. You were still going to get everything that he
You're all set.
Class that on paper we weren't supposed to score at all, and we knew going into Saturday that if he fell into the right spot in the bracket that he'd be able to kind of make some noise and score some points for us, but I don't think any of us imagined that he'd push through and get himself into the finals. Those two kids that he beat in the quarters and the semis were two kids that had beaten him previously in the year, so and had the Winnicott kid had pinned him in the dual meet at the beginning of the season. So he, being a senior year, he went into Saturday, with a purpose, and he put everything that had happened up to that point aside and wrestled just for Saturday, wrestled, for the team and wrestled to win, and it paid off.
Howie? Yeah, that was, nobody really saw that coming. Yeah, Howie definitely stepped up big. Those points made up for some guys that should have been.
There was a couple big matches for us, like Thomas Howie pinned the kid from Wyndham in the quarterfinals, I think, who was the number 2 seed. So that was a big game changer. Yeah, I was just thinking, take care of my own match, wrestle my best. I wasn't really the team, because if everyone is just selfish and thinks of themselves, then it'll work for the best for the team anyway.
That's not funny. Get through.
I broke my nose in Virgins. My nose has just been kind of like fragile, I guess. So no, the only one I had like that was when I actually broke it, and that one was just as bad, probably.
Keep moving. Is that our free? He's underneath you. Keep moving. Stand up. Is that our free? He's underneath you. Yep. Keep moving. Keep moving. Hip, 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 hip. 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 Mason! Finish on top! You got 5 seconds!
We've been dealing with that nose for about 3 weeks now. You know, up at Colchester, the same thing happened to him, and at that point, it was his nose. He had gotten his nose smashed about 30 seconds into the match, and you know, it's a tough thing to deal with. But Nathaniel's a tough kid, so you know, he wrestled through it, and unfortunately, the result at the end of the day wasn't exactly what we wanted, but he gets another shot next week. So.
It definitely was frustrating, because not only is it's just kind of like a nuisance and a distraction for you when you're trying to wrestle, but like all the stoppages, like kind of just like they stop your momentum, like, and you start to lose focus and start to, like, I don't know, just kind of relax a little bit too much, and once you lose a lot of blood, you start to get fatigued also. It pisses me off that it didn't go the way I wanted it to. I think that, I mean, I know I've done all the right things to prepare myself and make myself the best wrestler I can be for that match. So it really just came down to, I think that I just didn't wrestle as good of a match as he did, and I just made some mistakes, and I guess it just wasn't meant to be, because I've done everything right. So I guess there's other things that are going to happen.
On paper, it seemed like he was going to beat me, just because I lost to guys that he beat too. But just because because it's on paper doesn't mean that unnecessarily that he's supposed to beat me. Because like the kids that I lost to that day, I just had a bad day, and even though he was seated first, I knew I was a better wrestler than him, and I knew I could beat him. And I definitely ramped it up for that match, just because I knew it was my last shot at a Division II title.
Roll it out. 10 seconds, Andrew. Andrew. Short time. There we go. Hey, go forward. Get two. Got it. Good. Good job, Andrew. Keep them flat. Keep them flat.
Andrew, for him, that's 4 years of a lot of work and a lot of time invested in the sport and the team, and you know, the kid just deserves it. He has put in his you know, his heart and soul into wrestling to try and get himself there. And after last year, I know he was disappointed, you know, having not won it in the finals, and I think he was maybe a match away from placing at the meet of champs. For everything to come together for him is, you know, something pretty special for Andrew.
Honestly, I felt a little nervous when the third period was coming to a close. I'm just thinking in my head, I just hear Bumba saying circle, 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 and I knew that it was my time to just play pretty defensive and not do anything aggressive and just wait out the last 20 seconds, just trying not to get scored on, because I didn't have a stalling call and I was just trying to play smart because I didn't want to do something stupid and lose the Division II
Same thing with Nathaniel's match. You know, team-wise, it would have been nice to have that win, but you know, for Wyatt, that was just kind of it was a tough one to swallow at that point.
Making it to the finals and getting second 2 years in a row is just like the worst thing ever. You know, I would have rather gotten third the last 2 years. It's just brutal. You know, losing that final match and that close to bringing home a bracket and a gold. And yeah, 2 years in a row.
What we were going to get in that finals match. He hadn't wrestled the kid that Wyndham had at 82 that night. So I didn't know much about him. I know that the Wyndham kid is a tough kid. But Caleb is just, I mean, he's so explosive with what he does out there that, you know, anything could have happened at any given time. He gets himself focused on something. He's a dangerous wrestler. It's just a matter of getting him to that.
There you go. Nice. Now work.
I mean, we were winding down to the end of the tournament, and we were hoping for at least a major, because that would have given us one more team point, if not a pin, which would have given us an extra, 2 more team points, and that would have really helped out with kind of sealing it up for us. So.
My main goal was just go out there and do what I do, really. Bumpus, before the match, he told me that he wanted the pin, just to get a few extra points and make sure that we had enough lead. So I went in for that, but my main goal was just to win. I mean, the pinning, it would have been nice if I could have, just for the points, but I just went in and did what I could.
Good job! And he's getting at 195 pounds from Hollis Brookline.
I think so. It was pretty awesome. I mean, you don't get to win tournaments that mean that much to your school and to yourself that often, and to be there and have all the work that you did in the off season and all the work during the season, to finally have that actually happen, it was amazing.
But Kane's another kid that he's been consistent all year. I mean, right now he's 40-8 on the season, so he's won his fair share of matches. And last year he had a really tough tournament. As far as the division tournament went, where I think going into it he was either the 1 or 2 seed, and he ended up dropping down in the semis, and he actually dropped all the way to 4th. He went from a kid that we thought last year could have won it to taking 4th. So I think for him it was kind of a nice way to redeem himself after last year's division tournament. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do this coming weekend for sure.
Was Wyndham, and you're moving to champions with the shooting of 200.5 points, Hollis Brookline.
Going into Saturday, obviously the expectation was there, with the guys in the team, and as coaches going into Saturday, the expectation there was to win. So for them to pull together on Saturday and come through in some pretty adverse situations where guys are dropping down out of the championship round or taking their lumps, in those finals matches, for those guys to wrestle through the whole day and kind of put themselves aside for a second and wrestle for the team. I think that was one of the biggest things that we took away from Saturday.